Okay, so today's challenge is to create an organization and to add 5 volunteers in 5 minutes. And this will show you just how easy it is to be able to use the Here2Volunteer platform. So notice I have a timer ready. I'm already in my volunteer account. What I plan on doing is going ahead and creating an organization, logging into that organization as an administrator, and then adding 5 volunteers to my organization. If I have time, I'll also schedule those 5 volunteers, and ideally, I'll be able to say give credit for an event maybe that we held last weekend. So let's give it a try and see how we do. Let's start the timer now. Okay, in my account, I need to go to organizations. Let's create one, and let's call the organization 5 and 5. And let's use my usual email. And I have now been able to create an account. Notice that when I go here, I can see 5 in 5. Now I'm the administrator of my own account called 5 in 5. What I'll need to do is create a roster, and this roster will be called Volunteers 1. This is my main list. Whoops. Do we have time for that? There we go. I always set a color. Let's make them blue. Okay, now that I have a list, I'm also able to add volunteers. So let's go to volunteer and let's add one here. I think what I'll do is I'll use 3 volunteers that are already in the system, and then I'll create 2 new ones maybe that will never plan on logging in. Like for instance, seniors who just don't like to use email or don't have the app on their phone. So let's go ahead and add it. And in this particular case, let's call them volunteer 4, 5 in 5, so I can keep them straight. Okay, and I'll need, in this particular case, since they won't log in, I don't even need to be able to confirm their email address. Volunteer 4, that'll do it. And let's go ahead and add another volunteer. Let's call them and let's call them, there we are, a little faster that time. So now I've created 2 volunteers. They will populate in the system in just a minute. And I think what I'll also do is let's add volunteers to my roster. So what I know is that I know the email address of some other volunteers. Those people are already in the system, and so once I do their email address exactly correct, they will appear for me to be able to add. The idea being that they're sitting in my office, we've had a conversation, they're already in the system, I'm able to add them. Oh, no time to, oh no, volunteer 3 at mail.com. Let's say that we've got those 3 volunteers. So I've created 3 volunteers. I've added them to a list. Now let's see if they've populated my volunteer list. Not yet. So let's go ahead and just create an additional roster, and I'll call those drivers. Whoa, who has time? Let's go ahead and save that. And then I think what I'll do is I'll add volunteer 1 to that list. Now, if I got volunteers, now all of my volunteers are populated and I have a minute 42. Let's go ahead and create a shift then. Let's create a shift called 5 in 5. Let's create it for February 18th from 9 o'clock until 10 o'clock. And let's go ahead and save that. And let's add some volunteers manually. Volunteer 1. Let's also add another volunteer, volunteer 2. Let's add those people. And what I'll do is on the shift level, I'll accept those. And now I've actually created a shift. I have 57 seconds left. So let's imagine that last weekend there was a shift last weekend, or sometime the end of January, and it happened from 9 until 12, 11. Good. And we had those same volunteers appear, and it was, let's say it was volunteer 3 came, and also volunteer 4 came, and I can accept, and I'll also verify that they came. And what that means is that my organization actually gets credit for profiles. You can see there are 5, and I've successfully created shifts in the past, and I've also created an upcoming shift, and I've put people in there within 5 minutes. I think we've cleared this one. Thank you.